My sister Vanessa stood there at her baby shower, 7 months pregnant, one hand on her perfectly round belly, and the other holding a champagne glass filled with sparkling cider. The afternoon sun streaming through the country club windows caught her diamond wedding ring as she raised her glass for a toast. "At least my baby will have a father," she said, looking directly at me with that smile she perfected since childhood. The one that looked sweet to everyone else, but felt like a knife to anyone who really knew her. The room erupted in applause. 40 guests clapping like she just announced a cure for cancer instead of taking a direct shot at me and my son. My mother, Linda, actually stood up from her chair, nodding with approval, like this was some kind of motivational speech. My 10-year-old son, Ethan, sat beside me, his small hand finding mine under the tablecloth, and I could feel him trembling, not with fear, but with something else I couldn't quite identify yet. But what happened next made everyone in that room wish they'd kept their mouths shut, because my quiet, observant son, the boy they'd all written off as another statistic from a broken home, was about to detonate a truth bomb that would shatter their picture-perfect world into a million pieces. My name is Maya, and I'm 35 years old. I work as a marketing manager at a tech startup downtown, and I've been raising my son alone for the past 2 years. Not by choice initially, but now I wouldn't have it any other way. My ex-husband, Derek, left when his gambling addiction finally caught up with him, draining our son's college fund and maxing out credit cards I didn't even know existed. The divorce was finalized on a rainy Tuesday in March, and I remember walking out of that courthouse feeling like I could breathe for the first time in years. Ethan is the light of my life. He's 10, but sometimes when he looks at me with those serious brown eyes, I swear he has the wisdom of someone who's lived 100 years. He reads everything he can get his hands on, builds elaborate Lego cities in our living room, and has this way of noticing things other people miss. His teachers call him gifted. His counselor says he's remarkably well-adjusted. My family calls him unfortunate. My sister Vanessa is 32 and has always been everything I'm not. She married Jason right after college in a ceremony that cost more than my annual salary. She has the kind of life that looks perfect on Instagram: the colonial house in Westchester, the brand new SUV, the designer maternity clothes that cost more than my mortgage payment. She sends out Christmas cards every year with professional photos where everyone's wearing matching sweaters and genuine-looking smiles. Jason, her husband, is 34 and owns a chain of real estate offices across the tri-state area. He's the guy who shows up to family dinners in a polo shirt and khakis, talking about market trends and investment opportunities. He calls everyone buddy or sport, including me, which always makes my skin crawl. He likes to remind everyone that he's a self-made success, that he built his empire from nothing, that he knows what it takes to be a winner in this world. My mother, Linda, is 58 and has never forgiven me for divorcing Derek. In her world, women stick it out no matter what. They make it work. They don't air dirty laundry or admit failure. She raised Vanessa and me in a house where appearances mattered more than reality, where we learned to smile even when things were falling apart. She still introduces Vanessa as my daughter, the wife of a successful businessman, and me as my other daughter. My father, Frank, is 60 and operates on a simple principle: avoid conflict at all costs. He's perfected the art of being present, but not really there, of nodding along to whatever my mother says while retreating into his newspaper or his golf game. He taught me how to change a tire and throw a curveball, but he never taught me how to stand up to the people who were supposed to love me most. That baby shower was supposed to be Vanessa's crowning moment, the celebration of her perfect marriage, producing its perfect offspring. The room was decorated like something out of a magazine with pink and gold everything. There were games with prizes, a candy bar styled to match the decorations, and a cake that looked too beautiful to eat. Everyone there had been carefully selected to witness and validate Vanessa's success story. What none of them knew was that sometimes the people pointing fingers have the most to hide, and sometimes a 10-year-old boy can see truths that adults spend their whole lives avoiding. I should have known the baby shower would be a disaster when Mom called me 3 times that morning to remind me to dress appropriately and not make this about you. At least now my baby will have something in common with hers: a father who's a liar. The country club staff quietly ushered everyone out while Vanessa sobbed in the bathroom. her perfect makeup running down her face in black streams. The garden room looked like a war zone with overturned chairs, scattered gifts, and pink decorations hanging at broken angles. Mom went with Vanessa, but not before stopping in front of me and Ethan. "Did you know?" she asked me, her voice accusatory even now. Even after everything that had just been revealed. "Did you put him up to this?" "No, Mom. Unlike some people, I don't keep secrets that destroy families. I just survived the destruction of my own." She turned to Ethan, her face a mixture of anger and disbelief. "How could you do this to your aunt? How could you ruin her special day?" That's when I stepped forward, putting myself between my mother and my son. "How could you do what you did to him? He sat here listening to you all tear his mother apart, call his life incomplete, suggest he's damaged goods because his father isn't around, and you want to blame him for telling the truth." Ethan looked up at me, then at his grandmother, his young face showing a maturity that broke my heart. "Uncle Jason said I shouldn't tell because it would hurt Aunt Vanessa. But Aunt Vanessa was already hurting Mom, and you were helping her, Grandma. At least when Dad left, he just left. He didn't pretend to be perfect while living a lie." 2 weeks later, Vanessa moved back in with our parents. The divorce papers were filed within a month. Jason tried desperately to salvage something, anything, but Vanessa's lawyer was ruthless. Turns out when you document 4 years of deception, judges tend to be unsympathetic. Jason's other family came out of the shadows, too. Samantha had been told he was separated and planning to divorce, that he just needed time to handle the finances properly. She'd been raising Lila alone, believing Jason's promises that soon they'd be a real family. The family dinners are different now. We actually have them, for one thing. Vanessa doesn't laugh about my single motherhood anymore. She actually asked me for advice last week about raising a child alone. Mom doesn't make comments about bad choices or broken homes. She's learned what I always knew, that judgment has a way of coming back around, that the people pointing fingers often have the most to hide. Ethan and I have grown even closer, if that's possible. That night after the shower, he sat on his bed while I tucked him in, something he usually says he's too old for, but seemed to need that night. "Mom, did I do the right thing?" he asked, his voice small in the darkness of his room. "You stood up for us." I told him, sitting on the edge of his bed. "You showed them that being a single-parent family doesn't make us less than. It makes us honest. It makes us real. It makes us strong." He nodded, then said something I'll never forget. "Mom, Uncle Jason had a father growing up. Dad had a father growing up, but they both became liars. Maybe having a father isn't the important part. Maybe having someone who teaches you to tell the truth is." The baby shower story became legendary in our town. People still whisper about it at the grocery store. How little Ethan Matthews exposed Jason Harrison's double life at the Rosewood Country Club. But for me, it became something else entirely. It became the day my 10-year-old son taught a room full of adults that perfect families don't exist, that single mothers raise warriors, and that sometimes the people with the least have the most integrity. Vanessa had her baby 2 months later, a beautiful boy she named Noah. I was there in the delivery room holding her hand while she pushed, being the sister she needed me to be. And despite everything that happened, despite the pain and humiliation and broken trust, she called me the next day while I was at work. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice raw with exhaustion and emotion. "For everything, for all those years, I thought I had it all figured out. I thought my life was perfect, and yours was the cautionary tale. None of us have it figured out," I told her. "But now Noah has something more valuable than a perfect family story. He has the truth. He has authenticity. That a better inheritance than any lie, no matter how pretty it looks, wrapped in pink and gold balloons." And you know what? Ethan and Noah are inseparable now. My son is a protective older cousin, teaching Noah about dinosaurs and planets, and all the things that fascinate him. He's showing Noah that families come in all shapes and sizes, and that love isn't measured by who's present, but by who shows up with honesty and stays with integrity.